Hello, everybody, and welcome in. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Hello there, everyone. Today we are doing an NFL Week 2 AFC Home Game preview, and joining me for that are Jesse and Mike. How's it going, guys? What's up?
Good.
It's going well. We've had a busy day, so I'm excited to cover the AFC and see how we break it down for him.
Jesse showing the enthusiasm of someone who just did an hour and a half podcast with me 20 minutes ago. Gotta love it. Jesse's like, fuck it, I'm done.
Extra time together, always special.
Yeah. I gotta do this shit again? Okay, yeah, no.
Just worked out that way. Yeah. All right, I guess without further ado, we will get into it. We have the AFC games today. I think both Monday nighters. Yep. But oh no, that's not true. One of the Monday nighters, because there's two this week, right? New Orleans, Carolina. That was already on yesterday's show.
Steelers, Browns, baby.
Yeah, Steelers, Browns, and the Sunday nighter is Dolphins, Patriots. But I guess we will get into the first game and the first team from that game. We have the Indianapolis Colts, 1.5-point favorites against the Houston Texans, 39.5 total here. We have Anthony Richardson, who was surprising in week 1, 23.9, fantasy points. I was pleasantly surprised by how good he looked as a passer and slightly disappointed with his rushing totals. This week, he gets what is currently a bad matchup for quarterbacks in the Texans. Wasn't great in week 1. It hasn't been great for a few years because typically you can just run all over the Texans and you don't need to throw. But like I said in the last show, with these early season matchup guides here, the rankings aren't always that accurate because, one game is severely skewed. The Chargers and the Titans are going to be at the bottom after, Chargers and Dolphins are going to be at the bottom of most of them after a shootout. The Eagles are a little off, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. But this one doesn't look like a great matchup for Richardson. You guys playing him this week anyways, I think, if you got him?
Absolutely. I'm rolling with Richardson. Based off of week 1 and how uncertain people were and how good of a passer he looked, I'm riding with him. It's interesting because Lamar looked pretty much the opposite in his week 1 matchup against Houston. So we'll see how that plays out for Richardson. But realistically, I'm betting on the talent of Richardson, and that offense isn't going to flow through him. So yeah, I'm riding with him from here on out. He's basically my guy.
Yep. Richardson was my quarterback 1 before the draft. He was my quarterback 1 before the combine. He was my quarterback 1 after the combine. Everything I saw week 1 just helped bolster my take lock that I already have. I'm starting Anthony Richardson if I have him all over the place, and he was cleared healthy today, so stick him in your lineups.
Yep. All right, we will go on next. That was an easy one. To the running backs. The running backs are not an easy one. The matchup looks pretty good against Houston, like I said. Yeah, they were terrible. Jonathan Taylor on the IR. Deion Jackson was not good. Evan Hull on the IR. Is Zach Moss coming back? I don't know what's going on here. It's a juicy matchup, but does anyone dare start Deion Jackson? Like a desperation flex if you lost Dobbins or
if you need a desperation flex, I've been following this pretty closely. I don't know why I'm just really into the Colts this year. It's not going to be Deion Jackson. It's going to be Zach Moss if he is healthy, and right now he is trending towards playing. So if you need a desperation flex, it's Moss.
Yeah, Deion Jackson was awful. He was so inefficient. He put together one of the worst games we've seen from running back in a long time. So yeah, if Moss is out there, yeah, him and Rachaad White could be best friends, which is how terrible they were to week 1. But yeah, I'm betting on Zach Moss, who's actually been a decent player in the league when he's been on the field. So yeah, if Moss is healthy, you're going to play him. But I don't feel great about it. But between the two, it's Zach Moss by a landslide.
Yeah, which is odd because Deion Jackson looked good last year in his spot starts, but I guess he doesn't have it this year. The receivers, like I said, it's not a great matchup, but for receivers, it's kind of middle of the pack. Michael Pittman was surprising, mainly because Anthony Richardson was a much better passer than anyone anticipated. Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, who the heck really knows? The one to talk about here is Michael Pittman. Consistent, pretty good, locked-in wide receiver too, mid to low end.
I'm going to say no, actually. Jesse, it looked like you were about to say yes. So Michael Pittman's numbers were boosted a lot by him taking a screen pass all the way to the house. You take that away, he had a very medium week. I think it's going to be frustrating between Pittman, Downs, and Alec Pierce. Like, you're either rooting for the Alec Pierce deep ball, the Josh Downs first read, or the Michael Pittman making a play happen. So I'm trying to avoid him if I can, just because I can't figure out who's going to be the one each week.
So why I'm confident in Pittman is Steichen brought over the scheme where it's a first read scheme, and those passes are going to go to Pittman. He's going to be the first read on the majority of passes. And we saw that work out in week 1. Like, he got 11 targets, and I know there's question marks with Pierce and Downs, and actually Downs is surprisingly efficient, so that one kind of shocked me. But, yeah, I'm confident in Pittman. He's a good enough talent where they're going to funnel passes to him. So it may not be the high-end range like we saw last week, but he's going to be a target-dependent guy. So I'll bet on that.
All right, I will zip here, as we did last show, zip here quickly through tight end, kicker, and defense. And then when I'm done, if you guys disagree, you can correct me or tell me where you disagree. Because, outside of the big important ones, there's not a whole lot here. For sake of time, we'll move through them quickly. The Colts tight ends, not a great matchup, not really a trustworthy tight end. So whether you've got Woods or Ali Cox or Granson, I think they're a sit. Kicker, we got Matt Gay. It's not a great matchup. He is also someone I have as a sit. And the Colts DST, I have them as 10 right now. They are a good option to start against a rookie quarterback, and should be a pretty low-scoring game. Any disagreement there with sit the tight end, sit the kicker, start the D?
All on board.
So I'll put one caveat on there for tight ends and Granson. There was only one tight end who had a 70th percentile target share, air yard share, and yards after the catch, and that was Mr. Kylan Granson for the Colts. So just keep that in mind with him and watch him. I'm not going to play him because that just seems more like a fluke maybe, but keep an eye on him. And if this holds true, then yeah, I would start targeting him in leagues.
Sit one, start one on this lineup here. Start Pittman, sit running back.
Yeah.
Whatever
running back I'm sitting, yeah.
I was probably going to flip that, actually. I would sit Pittman. I would start Zach Moss.
Ooh. I think actually the only good start in that game for me is Richardson, but it's kind of a scary one.
It's going to feel like Justin Fields games where you just want to play the quarterback.
I don't even know if I want to play Justin Fields right now, but that's for another day. Moving on to the other side, we have the Texans. Quarterback C.J. Stroud looked like a rookie last week. He gets a decent matchup against the Indy secondary. I think I'm only starting him if I have to in a super flex. He's probably around 20 for me. I don't have my rankings up to date yet. Anybody confident in starting him as higher than a low-end QB2 in a super flex?
No, nope. Not at all.
That's the spirit. All right. Moving on to the running back room. We have a decent matchup for the running back. We have Damian Pierce. Didn't look great last week. Pretty decent matchup here. I think if I have to, I'm going to start him as an RB2. I don't know. His usage wasn't great, but that was kind of a blowout towards the end. Don't know how confident I am in him. But like I said, I'll probably roll him as a RB2 or at very least a flex option. I don't think there's anyone else. Like Boone got a lot more touches and usage than expected. He's completely irrelevant, but Pierce, anybody got anything controversial about Pierce, or we good?
So I'll throw this. He's very game script dependent. In games he's seen more than 30% of the snaps, his stats are drastically different in single score games. So single score games, he averages 14 points per game in PPR, 21 touches. In games that are double digits or more, he averages 11 points per game and like 4 less touches. So you can kind of tell the difference in how they use him. So we hoped he'd be a ball cow, but he didn't see that last week. So just keep an eye on him, and he could be decent play this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw him in there as a RB3 or a deep flex, but I'm not trying to get Pearson. I didn't draft him anywhere because I don't want the only run guy on a bad offense with all the hype that he was getting preseason. So
wide receiver room's ugly. Theoretically, it's a good matchup. It's kind of like a KC New York Giants wide receiver room here. You got to throw a dart and hope you hit. Like, who did they have? They had someone was useful.
Where's Nico?
Yeah, you're missing their best receiver.
Nico and Woods, and I don't know how I did that. I was just thinking, I feel like I'm missing someone.
I was trying to see him. I was like, I don't see him at all.
Nico Collins was the wide receiver 24 with 14 points last week.
And Robert Woods was decent too. He had double digits.
Yep.
Still, I think Nico, I don't mind as a wide receiver 3 or a flex. Robert Woods, I could desperation flex. There's rumors that Tank Dell is going to get more of a role this week. I don't know if I feel comfortable starting any of them. What do you guys think?
I'd say Nico's the one guy of that wide receiver room I'm going to target. He'll be the wide receiver 3. And yeah, to your point about Tank Dell, I'd say over time he's going to build more of the offense. But like right now, it's Nico and Woods.
I didn't draft anyone from this offense, so I can't start anyone from this offense.
Fair enough. That's probably a good strategy. Tight end, we got Dalton Schultz, who was living in Dallas off of high pass volume. He didn't get that last week and was totally useless. It's a middle-of-the-pack matchup, but unless you have to, I think there's probably better options out there. Kicking, we have Kai Fairbairn. Where the hell is he on my chart? Once again, middle-of-the-pack matchup. This one's in Houston. Houston's a dome, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah? So middle-of-the-pack matchup here in a dome, so he's not the worst if you need a kicker. He's not someone I'd drop, but he's not a kicker I'd really target to stream. And defensive-wise, I don't really want any part of this. I think it's going to be low scoring, and I'm sure Richardson could turn the ball over, but they seem like they played it pretty safe with him, so there's probably better options out there for streaming a DST. So I think as far as tight end, kicker, and DST go, I'm probably staying away from all of them and the entire Texans roster.
Yeah, if I'm playing a defense in this game, it's the one on the other side, not this one.
Yeah, I just like I said, I 2 rookie quarterbacks, but you're right. I think I'd rather not be facing Richardson. I think Stroud is much more likely to turn the ball over. So we will move into our next game. That is I almost said San Diego. That is the Los Angeles Chargers 3-point favorites at Tennessee. 45.5 point total. You're going to hate this one again, Jesse. It's got another one of those weird little middle graphics that's created an awesome effect for us. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's so weird that it does that. I don't. It's just the way the colors blend together. It trips me out. I don't know why. I'm going to stop doing it. But so we have. Oh, damn it! One sec, guys. See, I told you the new software is a little too fancy and it's doing things I don't necessarily want it to do. So we will get started in this one. We have Justin Herbert was, pretty good in a shootout last week where there was no defense played whatsoever. Tennessee ranks as somehow a middle of the pack pass defense, which I guess was kind of surprising. If you drafted him, you're firing him up. I don't think anybody can really sit him. The matchup's not scary. It should be I don't know if it'll be another shootout because I don't think Tennessee can keep pace with them, but there should be plenty of opportunity for points, and my only worry would be they end up running the ball to run out the clock here. Thoughts on Herbert?
I mean, you drafted him, you're going to play him. There's nothing really else to digest here. You're hoping that he gets 2 or 3 early touchdowns and gets you what you need before the game's out of hand.
Yeah, and like Mike's saying, the Titans' defense is just trash. Like, let's be real. The Titans' defense is not good, so they cannot stop this high-powered offense. Even if we'll get into Eckler in a second and he misses in the game, you're still going to start Herbert. You're going to start those wide receivers. Like, it's an offense you want to target week in and week out. And particularly against a bad defense, like that's how you get a lot of fantasy points.
Well, let's get into Eckler since you mentioned him. As I said, this is the downside to my matchup chart. Early on, it can be skewed by one game, and currently the worst matchup for opposing running backs is the Tennessee Titans defense. They are not great, but I don't expect them. Well, they're not terrible. I don't expect them to be this good, but I don't think anyone's sitting Eckler unless you're forced to because he's out. So assuming that Eckler's a must start if he plays, if he doesn't play, are you confident starting Josh Kelly? And what do you see him as? Just a flex or a 3?
Yes, RB2, easily.
Yeah, I'd fire him in there. He's not going to be a 1-for-1 replacement for Eckler because Eckler is one of the best running backs in the league, but he's going to give you those fantasy points, and he could find his way in the end zone multiple times in this matchup. The one thing is Tennessee is better against the run than they have been against the last few years, and this should probably hold true. So Kelly's going to see a lot more of his work through, like, how he gets his points would be through the receiving game than on the ground. Just keep that in mind.
Just goes to show you how much confirmation bias there is, because on the last one I said they were the worst running back matchup. I think they'll be decent, but you kind of didn't take it too seriously because it's 1 week. On the other hand, they are the second best wide receiver matchup, and because that's what I believe, I choose to believe it. So it's amazing how I discount one stat and then I trust the other. So as far as the wide receivers go, it is the second best matchup. Keenan Allen is probably a low end 1, high end 2. Mike Williams a 2, 3-ish. Quentin Johnston is where it gets interesting. I think I feel all right firing him up as a flex, and I'm probably sitting Palmer. What do you think about the 4 of them here, guys?
Yeah, that's basically how I have it. I'll have confidence in Allen, like he's going to see a ton of targets, see volume, see the work. Mike Williams is that boom bust guy, and he gets a boom matchup, so you're going to start Mike Williams in this game. Like, these are the games you want to start Mike Williams in. They go against a suspect pass defense that literally can't stop them, so he gets a couple deep ones past the end zone, touchdown is 25 points, just like that. And if you want to take a flyer on Quentin Johnston or Josh Palmer, like, I totally get it. Like, they could hit big plays in this one too.
Johnston's the one that's confused or a tough choice for me. I think Allen's an easy start. Williams is probably an easy start. Quentin Johnston's the one where it's, he hasn't really shown much. Are there too many mouths to feed? I like him a lot more if Eckler's out, but I think I could probably flex him.
Yeah, boom bust flex for sure. That's what I treat him.
Yeah, and I think if Mike Williams or Keenan Allen goes down, he's a smash start. But until that happens, you're just praying for a touchdown.
We have Gerald Everett or Donald Parham, who got the touchdown last week and looks to be the end zone target. They get a middle-of-the-pack matchup. They're not a terrible option with how bad tight end is, but then again, who really is? If you got them, you can probably start them. They're not someone I target, on the waiver wire, but there are worse options than Everett. Cameron Dicker, the kicker. This is a top 6 matchup for him. He's going to have lots of extra point attempts. It's going to be a matter of, does this offense stall out and kick field goals? If you got him, I think I would probably play him. He's definitely not worth dropping. It's a decent matchup. And the DST has a top 12 matchup here against the Titans, who look terrible with Ryan Tannehill. I'm probably firing them up as a low-end DST1. Any objections on tight end, kicker, or defense, guys?
Nope, nailed it.
Yeah, I'd say the one caveat with the tight ends is, like, they basically split the routes between Parham and Everett, so that could be just a cluster each week. But Parham saw a bunch of targets towards the end zone, so that's kind of the key. So, like, I would actually chase that over Everett this week.
Sit one, start one.
I don't want to sit any of these players, if I'm being honest. I'll sit Quentin Johnston until I see something better, but I want every piece of a good offense I can, and this is a great one.
I think that was my option.
Yeah. You just
start everyone. Sit Quentin if you have to. Sit Josh Palmer, but
I'm gonna sit Darius Davis. That's my answer.
Betsy.
I'll sit Gerald Everett. We'll just go with that.
I'll sit Isaiah Spiller. Don't start Isaiah Spiller.
Is he still on the roster?
He gets 0 target.
He was still on the roster. So moving on, we have their. Is that a dog? We have their opponent, the Tennessee Titans. We have Ryan Tannehill put up a monstrous 6.42. He gets the best quarterback matchup because the Titans gave up like 9 billion points last week to Tua Tagovailoa. I still don't know if I'm even starting him in a super flex with how bad he looked. I think he could be replaced at halftime by Malik Willis or Will Levis or the guy selling beer in the stands. I'm not sure, but I don't. It's going to be tough for you to name a quarterback that I wouldn't start over him. Like maybe Desmond Ridder, but even Ridder, I think I'd start. Can we name a quarterback that you wouldn't start over Tannehill?
Yeah, I'm starting Tannehill over Ridder for sure. I'm going to chase this matchup with Tannehill. I'm going to play him as like a mid-range QB2. I just love the matchup. The Chargers defense gets shredded, and I'll bet on Tannehill being who he has been in the past. But yeah, you're right. Like the floor is very low with him, but this is a matchup you want to chase if you're streaming quarterbacks.
I'm definitely not streaming him in a 1 quarterback league, but a 2 quarterback league or a super flex, and I like really need a guy. Maybe I had Aaron Rodgers and I took Tannehill as my quarterback 3. I'm firing him up. I'm not worrying about it. I'm not going to go chase Zach Wilson. I'd rather have this.
I don't know if I'm streaming him in a 3 quarterback league, let alone
Aaron gun to your head. Do you want Ryan Tannehill or Zach Wilson?
Can I just use the gun to my head?
Brutal.
The Jets get the Cowboys. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill.
There it is. All right, 31st ranked quarterback.
No, there's backups I'd probably have over him. I don't think Zach Wilson's a good enough backup, but we'll move on to someone who doesn't suck. It's a middle of the pack run defense here, although the Chargers looked weak at times. Derrick Henry, if you got him, you're starting him. Tyjae Spears, do we think there's anything there? He's not even a desperation flex.
Ooh, I just want to get excited real quick. I've been on the Tyjae Spears train for a while. Outsnapped him. If this game gets out of hand, they're not going to waste Derrick Henry's last 100 carries he has on those legs left. Like, if they go down by 2-3 scores, here comes Tyjae Spears, and he's going to get check downs. He's going to get manufactured touches. There's a chance that he's a flex play.
Yeah, he's looking promising. Like, he is who we thought he was coming out, even though he doesn't have ACLs. But, like, really, who cares? He's a running back. It's a short life. So you just want to buy into guys like Spears because they are talented and they find ways to get on the field. So, like Mike's saying, if this game gets out of hand, he's going to be involved.
DeAndre Hopkins, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and Treylon Burks get a matchup with the best matchup to opposing wide receivers. The Chargers, after one game, are allowing 78.2 fantasy points per game to receivers. Is that a lot?
But also, are we going to compare Nick Westbrook-Akine to Tyreek Hill? Or
I think the case could be made. I need a lot more beer, but So, like, okay, D-Hop we got as what, a wide receiver 2. Burks is a desperation. Well, not even, just a flex, and Westbrook.
He's a wide receiver 3 for me. Yeah, I'm gonna play Burks and D-Hop. Like, can we talk about D-Hop being 31 years old, going to a new team, and getting freaking 13 targets his first game with him, and just pushing Burks aside? He's like, hey, guess what? I'm still that dude. So yeah, I'm gonna target those two guys in this offense. Like, it's a dream matchup. Like, those are the wide receivers you want.
Big alpha energy. If D-Hop's taking the number 1 cornerback, like, Burks might be able to run around a little bit, but I think both of them are going to get peppered with targets. The game's going to get out of hand. We're looking for a high-scoring, like, team from behind. Tennessee's your matchup.
Yep. I don't know if Tennessee can hang with them is my problem. I theoretically, I get what you're saying. It's a great matchup, and it looks like it could be a shootout, but I don't know if they can hang with them. I think Malik Willis plays at halftime. This is ugly. Moving on, we have Chigo Okonkwo. It's a middle-of-the-pack matchup. Apparently, that tight end's the only thing Chargers did stop. Based on how bad tight end is, if you got him, I don't mind playing him. He's not someone I'm targeting right now. He's just kind of a hold for me. At kicker, we have where's Nick Folk? I have him as QB as kicker 9. Not a terrible matchup, not a great one. Should be fair weather, so I don't mind playing him. And the Tennessee defense is, I don't know where they are on my list, but they're down there. Yep, they are 27th. I am not playing them if my life depended on it. They may give up 50 this week. I am out on pretty much the Titans, except for Derrick Henry. This is going to be ugly. Any disagreement on tight end kicker defense?
No, Chig's usage was very nice. So he's like 83% of the routes. Like, that's what we want to see. So if you want to stream a tight end, like, take a flyer on Chig. And also, if you're a masochist, that's the only explanation you have for playing the Titans defense in this game, because just why? Like, I don't understand why you would even think about doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the kicker might be an option because they get down there and they can't get the ball in the end zone. But, I mean, there's better kicker options somewhere.
Yeah.
So for sit one, start Derrick Henry, sit everyone else. Start D-Hop, sit everyone else.
Start Tyjae Spears in your flex. You heard it here first.
Spicy.
No, thank you. I'll pass. Moving on to the next game, we have Baltimore going to Cincy. Cincy's favored by 3.5, 46.5 point over or under. Lamar Jackson, this currently is the 6th best quarterback matchup of the week. I don't know what to think. Both of these teams, Cincy looked terrible last week. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson did not look great. If you got him, you got to start him. He's the QB1. What do you think he is this week? Low-end QB1? I like this game. This game could go either way. Like, I think Baltimore could kill them. I think Cincy could kill them. This is a really tough one for me, but you got to start Lamar. But where do you think
Cincinnati's defense didn't do anything to inspire me against Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson just threw the ball directly to defenders, hitting them in the chest. So Lamar Jackson, I think he's probably QB 4 to 8 range this week. You're starting with confidence.
Yeah, I get it. It was a really bad matchup in week 1 for him where he just played awful. But both these quarterbacks did, so it's kind of like, just throw it away and restart. But yeah, Lamar's just too talented. I get it. Maybe that was just week 1, new system. They had trouble with it. We'll see if they figure it out in week 2, but I'm betting on Lamar.
You try playing safety when Deshaun roofies your water bottle before the game.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I went there. All right. As far as the running backs go, we don't know who the hell is playing where. JK is out, so pick your poison. Justice Hill, Gus Edwards. I had a few shares of Gus. I didn't get much Hill. It's a middle of the pack matchup. I think Lamar takes the ball more, and they may have to actually pass. I don't know. Some desperation flex here for Edwards. Hill even?
If I'm going to desperation flex, I'm going to throw Hill in there. He was the only one getting snaps before JK went down. He was the first one to get snaps when JK went down. I think he's currently top 5 in the league in goal line carries, which is hilarious for a 197-pound running back. If I'm picking a running back here, it's Justice Hill.
Yeah, he saw the usage. It was a nice 8 carries for 9 yards type game for him, which is just fantastic. But yeah, I think Edwards is cooked. Like, I think he's just done for his career. So he's just not going to be anything anymore. Those injuries, his age, we're just going to move on. So yeah, I'll target Hill, but honestly, I really don't want to play him in this matchup till I see how this works out. So if we're fading, I'm just going to fade the running back position for Baltimore in this week and see what happens.
All righty. On to the wide receiver room. Theoretically, it's a bad matchup, but I don't care. I am starting Zay Flowers regardless as a wide receiver 2. Bateman and Beckham. I think Bateman's probably a 3 for me. Beckham as a flex, but I have no confidence in either of them, and I'd like to pivot otherwise. Zay Flowers is the guy I want here. How do I not have Zay Flowers on the graphic? He's literally my favorite player.
Yeah, you don't have Zay on here. You don't have Justice Hill on here. You keep missing the top 2 from each team.
It's like the good guys. He just take it off the sheet and he's like, here you go. Here's what we're left with.
You know what it is? I think the top 2 got cut off on some of these.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, with Andrews coming back and supposedly playing, Zay's going to bump down to a wide receiver 3. Just because, I know we were hyped on Likely. Andrews is actually that dude who's really good. So it'll be Andrews and Zay are the 2 guys I'm targeting in this offense for the wide receivers. You can take a flyer on Bateman if you want, but, I really don't want to bet on him and OBJ until we see more from them.
Yeah, I think it's Zay you're firing up almost everywhere that you have him. Mm-hmm. Bateman, maybe you put him in as a flex. You're really hoping that it's just him starting slow. Why did you draft Odell Beckham? Do you think it's 2014?
Exactly.
The final trio to end this is an easy one. Andrews, if you got him, start him. Justin Tucker, if you got him, start him. The defense is it's a tough one. I don't want to play this Cincy offense here, but if I have the Ravens, I'm probably not dropping them. So unless you can afford to pick up a second DST, I say just screw it and go with them. The only thing I have there that would be interesting for me is if Mark Andrews is out, can you go back to Isaiah Likely as your tight end after last week's disaster?
Yeah. You can. You just gotta eat some crow when you do it. You're like, oh, here we go again, and just hope it doesn't burn you. But
eat some crow with the Ravens. Nice.
I like it. Sit one, start one. I think I'm gonna start Zay, and I'm gonna sit Bateman.
Yeah, I'm gonna start Zay. I'm gonna bench the running back, whoever it is on the team.
Yep. I'll say start Bateman as a flex just to say something different, but. Yeah, and then sit Odell / Gus Edwards. Please don't start Gus Edwards if you're listening.
Yeah.
Just trade him to somebody that still thinks he's relevant, like Aaron.
I didn't say I thought he was relevant. For fuck's sakes. The other side of the ball, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who looked absolutely terrible last week. I was going to say, do I not have Joe Burrow on this sheet? He just scored so little, he's way down the list. Burrow, if you got him, you got to start him. It's a shitty matchup. They look terrible, but you got to start him. Anybody thoughts on Burrow here? Besides, you have no choice but to start him? Or you see him over?
I'm going to fire him up if I have him, but also I'd like to say that Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson combined for less points than Kenny Pickett last week. So do with that information what you will.
Kenny Pickett wasn't even good last week. That's scary. All right, so Joe Mixon here. It is a bad matchup. I'm not starting Evans. I'm not starting Travion Williams. Joe Mixon, I think you got to fire him up and just hope he's a middle of the pack, high-end RB2. I don't think he has a high ceiling, but
the volume's there. You just chase the volume with him. You know what you're getting with his offense. You just take the guy straight forward. It's Mixon, just ride with him.
100%.
Pretty much same for wide receiver here. You got to start Chase. You got to start Higgins and just hope. Boyd, can you trust him as a 3 or a flex?
I don't want to. I really don't want to. Yeah.
Big desperation play.
Tight end, we have Irv Smith. I am avoiding him. It's not a good matchup. Kicker, we have Evan McPherson. It's a middle-of-the-pack matchup, but if you took him, you probably have him as one of the first kickers drafted, so you're probably not dropping him. Just start him and hope. And the DST, not a great matchup, not a terrible matchup. If you own Cincy, you can probably drop him and stream someone else. Doesn't really move the needle for me either way. I think I'd probably prefer to stream another team over Cincy, but I don't hate them. I think they are 17 for me. Any thoughts on tight end, kicker, defense, gentlemen?
Sounds good to me. I like what you said there.
Nope, nothing crazy.
Okay, so start everyone. Sit Irv Smith, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Yep. Good talk.
Thanks, guys. Really,
sometimes it's too simple. Yeah.
Follow us for more fantasy tips.
Yeah. We fantasy good. All right. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are getting 46.5 point total here. This one is going to be a slaughter after the Bills got beat. We start with Jimmy G. This is probably a bad matchup for quarterbacks. Low-end QB2. Start him in a super flex if you have no better options. I think I have him as 25 for me, but I think he's more of a low-end 2.
I think he's going to be fighting with Ryan Tannehill for the bottom of the barrel. I think guys I don't want to start. And I'd rather start Ryan Tannehill.
That's just
absolutely. Me. I'm taking Tannehill over him every time. Jimmy G is the most mid fantasy quarterback of all time. He gives you 12 points no matter what, every week. Maybe he gets you 8 this week, but it's just there's no upside with Jimmy G. It's just all floor plays. So yeah, no thanks.
Jesus Christ. If you look up mid in a dictionary, it's a picture of Jimmy G. But
Jimmy G see his picture. Then,
but Jimmy G's holding a picture of Ryan Tannehill. So. All right, moving on to the running backs. It's a great matchup for Jacobs. If you've got him, fire him up as your RB1. I don't see anyone starting Zamir White. He's a straight-up handcuff.
God, no, please don't play Zamir White.
He might outscore Jimmy G.
I mean, maybe he finds his way in the end zone.
The wide receiver room is where it gets interesting. If you got Devontae Adams, you got to keep starting him. He wasn't terrible last week. Jacoby Myers in concussion protocol. I don't think he plays this week. If he does, he's probably got to be a low-end 2 at very worst. And there's not really any other receiver worth talking about. Is Hunter Renfrow still on this team?
Yeah, he's the guy that's going to step in if Jacoby's out. Hunter will resume most of that role. So it's Adams. Let's be real. Adams is one of the best wide receivers in football. You take Adams. You want to take a flyer on Hunter Renfrow? Feel free. But FYI, that floor sucks. So you could do that if you want to, but it's treacherous to say the least.
Yeah.
Tight end, we have, I like Michael Mayer, but Austin Hooper was the tight end one last week with the whole 3 points. It's a bad matchup. 2 tight ends that aren't really doing much. I am sitting them both. Mm-hmm. We will move on to Daniel Carlson, who is my number 11 this week at kicker. If you've got him, start him. I am not aware of any weather issues at Buffalo. It's still a little early in the year, so start Carlson. And as far as the Raiders defense, if you are starting the Raiders defense, you should probably be on this show because you fantasy good.
Real good. Real good.
Sit one, start one. That's going to be so start Jacobs and Adams and sit everyone else.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So this game could get out of hand and it could kind of neutralize Josh Jacobs. I know they used him a lot as a pass catcher last year, but that pass catcher work might not translate. So I am a little bit worried about Jacobs in this game. But yeah, Adams is the guy I'm firing up no matter what. I'm honestly never benching Devontae Adams.
I would explore starting Jacoby Myers. The explosion game happened. He had all of the usage. He ran all the routes. He did all the things. He's worth a flex play, but everybody else, a little worried. It's Jacobs, Adams, Myers. If you're starting Jimmy G, get help.
Yes, exactly. Call your therapist.
Sit Jimmy G, start throwing up. Is that the sit start for that?
Yeah. Just the immediately vomit coming out. Yeah.
So
you can turn this game off at halftime.
Yeah. At the other side, we have the Buffalo Bills, who did not look great on Monday Night Football, although they got screwed on that final touchdown that should not have been a touchdown. It was a tripping call, but we have Josh Allen at quarterback, who gets where's this matchup rank? I know I see it on here. It's a middle of the pack matchup. You aren't sitting him. He's your top 3 quarterback. Not much to say there, guys. Just
correct.
He's going to absolutely destroy the Raiders and likely be the QB1 this week.
Do you want to see an angry Josh Allen against a medium defense? Like this is.
I don't think their medium defense is the problem.
This might be like Alabama, Youngstown State or something.
That's
like,
it might be. Well, to be fair, I don't know if I'd take. Wouldn't you take Youngstown State over the Raiders though if they played?
Ooh, I'd consider it.
I might take them to cover the line. We'll see.
I think the Raiders would be less of an underdog against Youngstown. Or I think the spread would be closer for that game than it is Raiders Bills.
Brutal.
9.5.
Devontae Adams has entered the transfer portal.
Yes.
Yeah, for real. He would have been long gone. Adams, he's going to truck somebody, yeah. Josh Allen's just going to absolutely massacre some linebacker or safety in this game.
We have James Cook and allegedly Damian Harris here. It is a decent matchup. I have it as the 12th best matchup. James Cook, I think I'm taking as an RB 2-3 borderline there, and I'm not touching Harris. You guys got any faith in James Cook?
All day, James Cook. I got him as a high on RB2 in this matchup. I love James Cook. His usage in week 1, like he's pushing into that borderline RB1 role. So if that holds up, like he's going to put up a lot of fantasy points this year. So I'm all aboard the James Cook train.
I'm the exact opposite. James Cook is undersized. He got a couple of targets, and like that was fun and all. When this game gets out of hand and they put Damian Harris and Latavius Murray in, and James Cook is sitting there texting his brother, like, not going to be fun. So nothing about James Cook for this game. I hate James Cook for other games. It's just I hate the usage for this game because I think it's another one that's going to get ugly quick.
Jesse with a nice, well-thought-out argument, and Mike responds with, go fuck yourself.
I draft based on vibes.
Oh, Jesus.
The Vibe Squad is nice. I do like the Vibe Squad.
I know who you're quoting on that, Mike.
All vibes. All vibes.
So we have Stephon Diggs in a middle-of-the-pack matchup. I think you are starting him anyways. The question here is, can Gabe Davis be trusted? Just a wide receiver 3, and you pray he breaks. But that's the problem. I said bench him last week because he needs the long touchdown. He wasn't going to get it against the Jets secondary. He might get 2 of them against the Raiders. So I don't like Gabe Davis, but this feels like it might be a decent week to start Gabe Davis if you have him.
Yep. Yeah, as Gabe Davis stands right now, he's the wide receiver 69, so you have to start him in every format.
69.
Oh, that's a Vibe Squad quote right there, baby. We're riding with Gabe Davis.
I like clip that. Where are we in the time code? 37.
You can go ahead and put that on one of your graphics. Gabe Davis is the wide receiver 69.
Got to start him. Media one right there. That's perfect.
Got to start him.
At tight end, we have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. It's a top 7 matchup here. I think if you have Kincaid, you can probably start him. Knox, I don't know why you drafted him.
They had the same amount of targets. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
No.
Yeah, they did. But Kincaid's like route participation was 92%. So I'm all aboard that train. So like he's looking like the guy they promised him to be. So you're basically just starting him if you drafted him. Like, why would you not start him in this matchup? It's an ideal matchup. Just put
fair.
Tyler Bass was one of the better kickers. Not a great matchup. The only downside here is they just may not need a kicker at all. They may just go for 2 and be up 90. I'd still start him. It's a pretty easy game here. Should be high scoring. And the defense I love. Although Jimmy G is not notorious for turning the ball over because he throws 5 yards downfield, but I think I start Kincaid, start Bass, start the Bills DST. Start one now.
I'm going to start Gabe Davis, and I'm going to sit James Cook.
I'll flip it. You can take your Vibe Squad. I'm going to ride with Cook. So we'll ride with Cook and we'll bench. We'll go see how this works out for one of us.
Yeah, one of us will be right either way.
That's what I like.
Hedge the bets.
You would think that would be the case, but it's not.
They both score 0.
Yeah. I know. It's like, well, damn. We do good at fantasy, right? Yeah.
We do good fantasy.
Next up, we have what could be maybe the highest scoring game of the week. The Chiefs, 3.5-point favorites at the Jaguars, 51.5 total, which is the highest by about 5 points right now. As you can see, this graphic has a lot more players on it because it's a fucking mess. There are tons of players who score 3 points on this team. That's just the wide receiver room on that graphic.
It's also orange too. It's like, oh, what's happening? I can't take it. Yeah, sorry.
This is just a red flag. Literally a red flag.
So Mahomes, he's a start. I don't think anybody needs to know that.
Good talk.
We'll move on to the fun part here. Running back room. The Jags are the second worst matchup, and the running backs suck. So Pacheco, I don't think I own Hilaire, Pacheco, or McKinnon anywhere. If you've got a flex Pacheco, maybe RB3, but I don't want anything to do with these guys. You?
It's so gross because somebody is going to get 2 or 3 touchdowns this game, and you're going to look back and be like, God, I should have started insert running back name here. I could not tell you which one of these people it's going to be. And that's the same for the wide receivers. Like, somebody's going to score 2 touchdowns.
That's
at least Pacheco's seen the receiving work, so like I'll go with Pacheco. But yeah, I don't feel good about any of these running backs. It's just basically no thank you.
I guess I'd go Pacheco if I had to. And then if you go the wide receiver room, it's not any prettier. I think I would go Rashee Rice, but I don't mind Justin Ross. I don't want Tony and I don't want Sky Moore because the cost to acquire them I would never have them. But I don't like any of these guys, which is a real problem because I don't think Travis Kelce plays this week. So I'm not sure.
Travis Kelce practiced today, and there's a video of him jumping off of his hurt knee to high-five a teammate. He looks back.
I'm going based off of the report from Dr. Chow. They posted a video of, who was it, Rappaport or, I don't know, one of them posted a video of them draining his knee and all the blood coming out of it. And Dr. Chow said, if that's the amount, if that video was, real and that's the amount of blood that was coming out of his knee, there's no way he plays this week. So that's what I'm basing on him not playing. If he does play, I think that's the obvious answer for who's getting all the points in this one. But there's nobody else here. I don't mind MDS, I guess, if you need a desperation at flex. But good God, how can this Super Bowl roster look so fucking bad?
It would be the most
Superman.
Yeah, it would be the most Kadarius Toney thing in the world for him to go for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns this week.
Or get ejected in the third quarter.
Yes.
One of the two. He's the boom bust to the nth degree, right? So, they involve Toney in the offense. I'll chase him over Sky Moore. But, yeah, you really don't want these wide receivers. Let's be real. If you're playing them in, you're just praying and hoping. So, yeah, I'll take a bet on Toney, I guess. But, this, I don't know. Just no thanks.
Toney had one of the highest targets per route run in, an NFL game ever to result in 1 catch.
It's such a
just
bad game.
They're running in circles.
So the least efficient game of all time by wide receiver.
It's a middle of the pack matchup for tight ends. If Kelsey's back, you start him easy. If not, do you start Blake Bell or Noah Gray? I don't. Fuck. No, I think you could probably stream someone better than that.
I would. Yeah, I'd consider taking a swing on Noah Gray. I mean, his route participation when Kelsey was out was good. He was targeted. He's like a tight end 12 right on the line.
Yeah, he's fine. He's kind of is what he is. You know what you're getting with him. So, yeah, I'll chase that. At least he saw the routes and targets.
Harrison Butker, if you drafted him, play him. And the defense, I want no part of either defense in this matchup. It's going to be a high-scoring shootout, and I don't want to have a negative defense, so I am out. Let's go to the other side of the ball. We got the Jaguars. We will start with Trevor Lawrence. Graphic any day now. There it is. This is a middle-of-the-pack matchup. If you drafted Lawrence, you are starting him and just moving on. No questions here? No?
Yep. You ride with him.
Jesus, you guys are going to make me fucking talk about it. God damn it. I hate this fucking team. Can we skip this team?
Come on. You know what you got to do.
For the wide receivers, I'm looking on my little sheet here. Where the hell are they?
There's that one guy on top. Weird. He looks pretty good. I don't know.
It's a middle-of-the-pack matchup. It's going to be high-scoring. I don't know what the case is going on here. Christian Kirk was disappointed, and he scares me because it looks like Zay Jones is the wide receiver 2. I got a couple of shares of him on waivers. I think I could start him as a flex option.
Yep.
I think I'm still firing Kirk up as a 3, a flex. Thoughts on the wide receiver room?
I'm benching Kirk until that usage changes because he only saw 68% of routes and coming off the field 2 wide receiver sets. Like that's not what you want to see. So yeah, I'll fire up Ridley, who looked like a.
No, don't say it. Don't say it. I fucking muted
that
you.
one guy.
Don't say it.
Ralvin Kidley. We are gonna roll with.
Okay, there we go. That sounds wrong.
But yeah, him and Zay Jones are the 2 wide receivers I'm playing in this matchup. I'm just gonna let Kirk sit on the bench.
Are we really gonna have to do this? He's a wide receiver. When I heard someone the other day say he's a top 5 receiver in Dynasty, he's fucking 29, coming up for 2 years off.
Not in Dynasty, but that's redraft. Actually,
top 5 receiver in redraft.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed this hard. I was totally out on Ridley the whole season, but for this matchup specifically, I mean, you're starting Ridley, obviously. I'm going to start Zay Jones, and actually, I'm going to start Christian Kirk as a flex. As I would just want every piece of this high-flying matchup. I'd rather start Christian Kirk than, some of the wide receiver 2s or 3s on the dumpster fire teams. If that makes sense.
I'm going to die on this hill. I'll start Ridley until 3 weeks from now when I do my victory lap, once he's pulled a hamstring or twisted an ankle and is done for the season, because it's going to happen, because that's what Ridley does. But
nothing like victory. Nothing like victory lapping injuries. That's
I don't either.
Love that.
Calvin Ridley. I can't stand Calvin Ridley. I'm a Saints fan and I hated this guy.
Did he bet on you guys or what?
Maybe.
No comment. All right, let's move on to the tight ends. We've got Evan Ingram. Where is Evan Ingram? Oh, it's a top 8 matchup. If you've got Ingram, he's probably someone you got to fire up. Like Mike said, you want all pieces of this freaking shootout. Kicker, we've got McManus. Probably someone you're also starting. High-scoring game. He's going to get some extra points. Hopefully they stall out and kick a few field goals. Start him and bench the DST. So we've got a start Ingram, start McManus, bench the DST.
Yep, that's exactly it.
I would love to disagree with you one of these times, but you got it.
I will touch base as we skip the running backs. Travis Etienne had the highest route run rate of any running back in the NFL. Yeah, so yeah, I'm firing up Travis Etienne too. Yeah, so I'm firing up Travis Etienne. Like you're talking about this entire offense. If you have pieces of it, just play him. Let's be real. The only one is the defense. Like I'm benching the defense. I'm bored with all the rest of them.
And if I'm building a DFS lineup, like maybe throw in a little Tank Bigsby on the cheap, because then you can fit in 7 studs, hope for a Bigsby fall on the touchdown, make it work.
Yep.
Nice catch there. I didn't notice I even skipped him, but I agree wholeheartedly. We shall move on to this game's going to be fucking painful. I just talked about Calvin Ridley, and this game might be more painful. We are going to have what's going to be the lowest scoring game of the week. The Washington Commanders at the Denver Broncos. Broncos by 3.5 and a 38.5 spread. This is going to be ugly. We have Russell Wilson, who apparently was not saved by Sean Payton. He gets what is currently the worst matchup for quarterbacks. He is probably a mid to low end QB2 for me. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of quarterbacks I'm starting over him. This one's going to suck. What do you guys think about Wilson this week? Can anybody play him?
I mean, I'll play him. I got a super flex league where I kind of have to play him, so it's not by choice. But yeah, like the weirdest thing is he had 34 attempts for 177 yards. That's the ultimate dink and dunk offense. I guess he's Drew Brees 2.0 now with Sean Payton, because that's just abysmal. Like you can't have that kind of offense.
Yeah, Drew Brees scored though when he did it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want nothing to do with this offense other than maybe Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine. Everything else, I'm not even like. If I look at it, it's just to move them out of my lineup.
I don't know if
I'll play Sutton. Sutton's usage was good, but if Judy comes back, I'm not playing Sutton. So if Judy's out, I'll ride with Sutton. Yeah.
Well, the running backs, this is also a bad matchup for the running backs. Javonte got more work than I thought he would, but it's kind of like Brees. He got more work than I thought he would, but you could tell he wasn't quite there yet. I don't mind him if I have to start him as an RB low end 2, maybe a 3. I don't want any part of Perine. I think his usage slowly tapers off. The wide receivers here, I think Judy might play. Is that what I heard? It's not a great matchup. The Washington defense was, shut down last week for the most part. Judy, I don't mind as a 2 or 3. Sutton as a 3 or a flex. Mims as kind of a desperation flex here. What do you guys think?
I'm dropping Mims right now in redraft just because he was way buried on the depth chart.
I did too.
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
You just can't count on that. And if Judy comes back, he's going to neutralize both him and Sutton. So I'm going to want neither one of those guys in this offense. So realistically, I kind of want to avoid just basically this entire offense against Rams.
Did you notice the players who were on the field most for Denver were all Saints? Lil Jordan Humphrey. Who else was it? Adam Troutman. There was another one where I was like, oh, I forgot. Oh, and then Will Lutz. He just moved the Saints over to Denver is all he did. Got rid of Drew Brees. But at tight end, we have the aforementioned Adam Troutman, who I don't mind as a stream if you are in trouble. Greg Dulcich is out for a little while here. I think he's probably a high-end tight end too. But if I have to, Troutman is not the worst option, even though this game is going to suck and be low scoring. Will Lutz gets a decent matchup here against Washington, and it probably is going to turn into a field goal fest. So I do not hate starting him. And the defense, I definitely want to fire up as a top 6 here. This may be a 10-9 game or one of the old, Ravens-Steelers games where it finishes 9-6. So I think I'm comfortable starting Troutman. I'm comfortable starting Will Lutz, and I definitely think the Broncos are a must-start here. Anybody see it any differently?
Completely agree. Sam Howell's a guy that I want to start the defense that's playing him.
Yeah, he looked pretty bad. Both quarterbacks looked pretty bad week 1. So
he looked bad against the Cardinals. If you look bad against the Cardinals, too.
Yeah, it's awful.
Red flags.
Absolutely.
We need a sit and a start from this team.
All right, I'm going to sit every wide receiver from Denver, and I will play Javonte, but I don't want the wide receivers.
I'm going to sit Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, everybody, and I'm going to start the defense.
Damn. I'm going to start the defense and I'm going to sit Denver. Damn it, you stole my thunder.
Oh, man.
I don't want them. We'll move to the perhaps even worse side of this shit fest, the Washington Commanders, where you mentioned Sam Howell, who did not live up to the preseason hype train. This is a middle-of-the-pack defensive matchup for quarterbacks, which I think will prove to be it'll be tougher in the end. But this is not a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He didn't look great, and I thought the thing that would save Sam Howell and make him at least a high-end 2 or a mid-range 2 would be his rushing upside. Well, he didn't rush the damn ball. The weapons he had didn't really do much with Dotson, didn't do anything with McLaurin. I think he's a low-end quarterback, too. If you have to, you can play him, but I do not like him very much. What are your thoughts?
I think he's going to get eaten alive this week against Denver. I don't want – and Terry's still dealing with that turf toe injury. I know they say he's fine, but he's clearly not right. Not playing Sam Howell unless I have to play him.
Yep, I'm avoiding everybody.
You're spoiling it. We got to break this team down.
Okay, I'm sitting Sam Howell. I'm sitting Brian Robinson. I'm sitting Curtis Samuel. I'm sitting Jahan Dot. It's a tough offense, and Sam Howell, he did get the rushing touchdown, and maybe he runs around a little bit, but I think some of the quarterbacks we've listed today are like the 26 to 32 in the league this week.
Okay, so we'll just wrap this one up with a sit start then. Is there anyone you are playing? Like, I'm still playing Dotson, and I'm still playing McLaurin.
I'll take a flyer on Samuel because he's beneficial behind line scrimmage around there, and that's going to help Howell out the most. So he's going to check down to him. So he's the one guy that I could see being decent, where he doesn't depend on anything else. You just let him do his work because he's a good yak guy. So you could make that case for him at least.
I can play with Brian Robinson too, but
I don't mind Robinson, but it's probably gonna be ugly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough matchup. You're gonna hope that Brian Robinson gets checked down. So you're gonna hope Dotson gets a long touchdown. You're gonna hope that Logan Thomas gets the involvement that he could. Honestly, if I'm looking at any of them, it's Thomas. He had a pretty good route involvement. He had a lot of targets. That's the only one that I'm looking at.
And Gibson's just dead. I'm done with Antonio
Gibson's dead to us. He's dead to the coaching staff. He's dead to fantasy. I started digging in the backyard in case he needs a place.
There you go.
Our second last matchup is Sunday Night Football. It is the Dolphins favored by 2.5 at the Patriots. I'm surprised that one's so close. 46.5 point over under. Tua looked incredible last week. The Patriots are a middle of the pack matchup for quarterbacks. If you got Tua, you're firing him up. I can't see you having an actual quarterback on this roster that you would, bench for him or start over him. Like, do you have Tua and Patrick Mahomes?
I was gonna say, so I drafted Richardson, Tua was also floating around the same area, so you would do like the safe option with Tua for early and Richardson for later. The Belichick defense has the Dolphins number, so I would maybe consider starting Anthony Richardson over Tua, but that might be blasphemy to say out loud.
No, I can see it. I don't mind
it. He played the Chargers, they're god awful on defense, so it made sense why he went bonanza and Tyreek Hill. So his numbers are going to come down. He's not putting up freaking 35 again this week. They're going to come down a little bit. But yeah, it just lowers the floor and ceiling for him this week. But he's still a good guy to go with.
On to the tougher one, the running back room. It's a bad matchup, and Mostert I don't think is going to play. Jeff Wilson is on IR. What are you doing here? How do you feel about loading up on Devon A-Chain here? Is it flex?
I mean, you could flex him, but I wouldn't feel great about it because this is a tough matchup for any running back against New England. So you can go with him, but just be prepared for a 5-point output possibly. So it's a low floor game for him, and I don't really see a high ceiling. But, you can take a flyer on him. Because
of his speed, he has a built-in, he could explode on one play. But, yeah, the floor is scary, scary low. I'm avoiding him for the most part.
Without further suspense, are you sitting or starting Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle?
Oh,
Why
man.
would you sit them?
I was joking.
Really?
For fuck's sakes. Obviously.
I'm going to sit them for Braxton Berrios.
That's a solid investment. I like it.
Yeah.
The tight end room we have here is Durham Smythe, and I don't want to play a good tight end against Bill Belichick defense, let alone one where I didn't know his name 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, how many points did Dallas Goedert score last week?
Oh, big old.
I'm just trying to remember.
What's less than one?
Shoot. It's I'm trying to count on my finger. 0. Yeah. Okay, that many.
It's the same amount as amount of film that Johnny Manziel watched.
Dallas Goedert and I scored the same amount of fantasy points last week.
That's good. It's good.
So good.
Jason Sanders, we have at kicker here. This is a good matchup. He is a start, especially because you probably have to use a decent pick on him. I don't know what to do with the DST. The Patriots aren't notorious for being a high-scoring offense, but they are a safe one, and I don't know what to do here. I think if I have the Dolphins, I'm probably just going to play them and ride it out. Yeah. I don't think I could. I'm not picking up a second DST to bench them. I don't know if I want to drop the Dolphins DST. What do you guys think of the Dolphins this week?
I'll take a flyer. I'll play them this week in this matchup against New England. I'm not 100% convinced New England's offense is what we saw in week 1. So we will see how it shakes out. But I don't mind taking a flyer on the Dolphins and playing them.
I'm not convinced that the Dolphins defense is for real or that the Patriots offense is for real. So I think I might just avoid the matchup there. I'll go find a streaming option, drop the Dolphins defense, and I'm not worried about keeping them long term. Maybe Mac Jones is legit, maybe he's not, but I don't want to find out and lose points.
Your call on the Hunter Renfrow dart throw may actually prove useful here. Looks like both Adams and Myers are trending towards not playing. Neither practiced today, so it is not looking great.
Jimmy G, quarterback 32.
I still take him over Tannehill. That's not true. I'm just joking. That's not true. All right, let's get to the other side of the ball, the far less exciting. Your freaking sunshine over here. Move your head. Yeah, there you go. Sit there. It's like your sunshine is shining right in my freaking eyes here. So we've got the New England Patriots on the other side. I tweeted earlier today, I think it was yesterday, that this matchup is the one between the number 1 and number 2 QB in fantasy right now. Mac Jones, who gets a good matchup because they gave up a ton of points last week. Does anybody think he's for real? Still just a mid to low end QB2?
Yeah, I mean, if you – go ahead, sorry.
No, you got it, Jesse.
I was going to say, if you set him up with a good offensive scheme and good personnel, we saw in Alabama how good of a quarterback he can be, but let's be real. I don't think that New England's that place. So, yeah, that seems very much like an outlier. But in super flex leagues, yeah, you could fire him up. Then he could put up solid QB2 numbers.
0% chance I'm playing him as a quarterback 1. But also, like, Bill O'Brien is an offensive-minded coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Bourne looked like a real thing again. Demario Douglas looked like an NFL player. If Kayshon Boutte can learn that you need 2 feet in the pros, he might be a thing. So, yeah, quarterback 2. If he's your quarterback 3 on your roster, I'll start him over some of those other crappier options, like Jimmy G.
Ramondre Stevenson gets the second best matchup. This Dolphins run defense is terrible. I think he's probably a top 6 or 8 option this week at running back. Can you flex Zeke? Hope he gets in for a touchdown there at the goal line. What's the option here, guys?
I mean, you could try. I don't know if I really want to tell you the truth.
That's the enthusiasm I was looking for Zeke.
That's the desperation flex play is what I'm looking at Zeke as. Like, just get your fat ass in the end zone. That's what I'm hoping for with Zeke.
Can I say something out loud that I didn't think I was going to say in 2023?
Sure.
I think you have to try and find a way to start Zeke against a terrible run defense that just made Josh Kelly look like an all-star. He got receiving work last week. He didn't look like Ramondre, but he was running and hitting the holes and getting the yards that were there for him. So against a terrible run defense, I think I'm starting Zeke over a lot of people that I didn't want to.
I think you can start him too. Like this run defense is so bad. I was trying to think up a way to describe how bad the gap control is and how wide the gaps are, and I honestly couldn't come up with any show appropriate jokes here. So I had to move on. But that's how bad it is.
It looked like the Dolphins were running a 3-4, but the 3 defensive linemen were the 3 of us. Like it was not professional defensive linemen out there.
The wide receivers, they are a middle of the pack matchup. I don't know what to make of here. Bourne was added a lot on waivers. Demario Douglas looked all right. Juju Smith-Schuster looks dead. Can you start Bourne and Douglas? I think Bourne's probably a 3. Douglas a desperation flex.
Yeah, I'd probably push him back another level, like 4 or 5 type range. But yeah, you can take flyers on Bourne or Douglas if you want to. And Juju's supposedly healthy, but who knows what's going on with Juju. So yeah, those are the 2 wide receivers I would take a flyer on, I guess.
It's Bourne, and I think that's the end of the list for me. I'm gonna put him in there as my low end flex, just because that's where I got him as. Like, hopefully, I already have a 1, 2, 3, and 4 ahead of him.
Tight end, we have Hunter Henry, who gets the 4th best tight end matchup. I know it's ugly to say, but I like tight ends in the Bill Belichick offense. I think I could probably start him this week. I don't know if I want to. It's ugly, but the way things have been going, he's not the worst start. I can see Mike's going to hate that, but we'll move on to the kicker here. We have Ryland, who also gets a good matchup. I think I start him as long as there's no weather issues. And the DST, I want no part of. You probably can't afford to drop them, so your 2 options are either carry a second defense that you can stream, or just play them and hope the Dolphins don't score 90 like they did last week. What are your thoughts here on tight end, kicker, defense? I'm sure you had something to say about tight end. It looked like you were not a Hunter Henry fan.
I was not a Hunter Henry fan. In my family league, we have a thing where you have to text the person you're playing the week before and like talk some smack. And I texted my dad and was like, starting Hunter Henry is the biggest mistake you've had since me. And then Hunter Henry's the tight end 1 on the week. Like, what a disaster that was. I think it's going to be very Hunter Henry-esque for him to score 2 fantasy points this week. Like, it's just, I know that the matchup looks good on paper. I know that he has that touchdown upside, but it wasn't a result of a lot of targets, if I remember right. Yeah, 6 targets, 5 receptions. That's a lot for a tight end, but I would rather start. I'd rather start a lot of other people.
That's the thing. He didn't block at all in this game, so he was running a lot of routes and he's actually playing in those positions. So yeah, Bill O'Brien loves tight ends, so I don't mind Hunter Henry the rest of the year. I could see he could be another. He's had a few tight end 1 seasons. I would not be surprised to see him have another tight end 1 season this year.
So Stevenson must start. Kendrick Bourne probably wide receiver 3 start. Mac Jones and Hunter Henry start if you have no better options in deep leagues. Sit everyone else. Zeke, if you really need to, I guess, as a flex.
Honestly, he's worth a shot over maybe even over Brian Robinson.
Our final game of the day is Monday Night Football that sees the Cleveland Browns favored by 2.5 at Pittsburgh. We will start with Deshaun Watson, who gets a 9th best matchup. I see him as a low-end tight end 1 and fading. There's a lot of people I'm starting over him. probably starting Tua over him now. I'm starting Anthony Richardson over him. I don't know. I'm losing faith in Watson, and I'm not sure if maybe karma has just served him up here, and the Monsters have taken his talent, but he looks like shit. What do you guys think about Watson?
Yeah, it's fitting that you called him a tight end because the majority of his points.
Tight end?
Yeah, he's rushing. Like, that's the majority of his points come through last week. He was just awful as a passer, and it's particularly that one highlight. I don't know where he was throwing, what he saw, but it was just abysmal. Yeah, he has a high floor just based on his rushing, but the upside and ceiling from Watson that people thought on, which, I really don't care if he sucks because he's a terrible human. But, he might be decent for your fantasy squad. It's just, yeah, I'm not big on Deshaun Watson anymore.
Yep, the Steelers got the doors blown off of them last week. Big Steelers fan here. The Browns do not have Pittsburgh's number, and TJ Watt's going to play mad. I'm a little worried for Deshaun Watson's safety, if I would worry about him as a human.
I'm not worried about his safety at all.
The rushing upside comes from 5 rushes for 45 yards last week. I don't think he's going to break away as often as he did. I think it's going to get an ugly game, and I'm avoiding Watson for many reasons.
I hope Watt has 17 sacks. So the running backs, we got Chubb as an obvious must start. Other than that, sit Ford.
No.
Whoever else.
Yeah, and Chubb is a great start this week because the Steelers had Cam Hayward go down. They're starting, all-pro defensive end. So get Chubb in any lineup that you can. DFS, redraft, anywhere.
I'm going to clip that and put that on Twitter. Get a Chubb.
Get a Chubb.
That's Mike's advice for this game.
Also, the majority of do that. The majority of my followers are Steelers fans, so that'll be a nightmare.
Oh, lovely. That'll work out well. The wide receivers, 5th best matchup. You've got Amari Cooper, who I think is a solid high-end 2. Elijah Moore was a little more involved than I thought he would be. I think he's probably a 3. DPJ, a 3 or a flex. Thoughts here on this interesting offense on the wide receiver guys?
So it's interesting that Cooper and Moore have the same amount of targets. So that's something we kind of want to watch moving forward because they could be splitting that because we've seen more talent. So keep an eye on that. And yeah, DPJ, he's just a dart thrower. You hope he hits a 50-yard touchdown bomb in any game you're going to play him.
Wholeheartedly agree. Nothing to say.
Awesome. Njoku, bad matchup. I think if you got him, you probably have to play him. I don't know if there's actually better options out there. If you have one, go with it. I would prefer to sit him. Hopkins, top 5 kicker matchup in what probably will be a low-scoring game. I believe it's the second lowest-scoring total of the week. I think I feel comfortable starting him if you got him. Cleveland's defense, I'm probably going to start them as well. I have them as 8 right now, low-scoring game. Hope for some turnovers. Kenny Pickett hasn't been the greatest, so I think we can go start Njoku if you have to, start the kicker, start the defense. Any objections?
Sounds good to me.
Fantasy advice, yes. Steelers fan, no.
Awesome. Pick one, sit, start.
I'll start Chubb. That's not kind of the obvious start. But actually, no, fine. I'll take Chubb out because he's obvious. I will start Cooper, and I am going to bench Deshaun Watson.
I agree. That's boring. But I'll start I'll start Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's going to sneak into a long touchdown this game. I think the Steelers are going to blow coverage at some point because they seem to, and Patrick Peterson can't keep up with anybody anymore. I'm very jaded after week 1.
I will complete the trio here and start Eli Moore, and I think I will bench Deshaun Watson. So we are now, one of us is starting each of the 3 receivers. Awesome. Lovely. Way to come to a consensus, boys. We do fantasy good.
Helps people at home.
That's our new slogan. We do fantasy good.
Yep. Thumbs up.
Right. The last team in our preview here, I saved this one for Mike. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett getting what is the 3rd worst matchup against the Cleveland secondary. I had him projected preseason as a high-end QB2. Right now, he's sitting more like a mid to low end for me. He did not look impressive as much as I wanted him to be. What are your thoughts here, Mike, on Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, so week 1, absolute disaster. They're going to have to mix some things up here. I'm a little worried that he's missing his best separator in Deontay Johnson, so missing a giant weapon. Freiermuth's also dealing with some rib injuries, so we might see an uptick in snaps from Darnell Washington. Really just the offense is going to look very different than last week. Steelers fan, I'm hopeful. Fantasy advice, I would try to find another option.
Yeah.
For me, Kenny Pickett's value this week is going to be determined by what is his success rate, how well does he throw go routes? Because that's what, if they're going to be good this week, he's going to have to throw George Pickens 1,900 go routes because that's all George Pickens can run is a go route.
Well, hey, if Kenny Pickett gets 83 passing yards, he'll do better than Burrow did last week.
Ouch. Ouch. Moving on to the running back room here. It's a messy one, not a great matchup. Najee Harris, I don't think anyone trusts him. Probably a wide receiver, running back 3. I don't mind Jalen Warren. I know he wasn't great either. I'm probably putting him as a running back 3 or a flex. I'm still stashing him. I'd like both of them on my bench if I can, but I don't mind flexing them if I have to. Thoughts?
Yeah, just avoid it. Like this is a disaster backfield to me. Like Najee was getting no work and Warren was doing a lot of just nothing. So yeah, I'm not super excited about it. I'll let Mike take it over on this one.
Last week, absolute disaster, worst case scenario. Start Harris if you have him, because I think if you drafted him and took him, like, who did you find on waivers that you picked up that you'd rather start? Are you starting Justice Hill over Najee Harris? Come on, guys. So it's Najee, avoid Warren. You're happy with 10 points.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks. The wide receivers, there's going to be no Deontay Johnson, leaving George Pickens and Allen Robinson. Pickens, we're starting both these guys as a wide receiver 3 or a flex. Like, I don't even know how to value these guys. I thought Allen Robinson was dead.
I'm starting Pickens, 100% locked and loaded, wide receiver 3. Between Allen Robinson and the other name I want to bring up, like, I would almost consider starting Calvin Austin. He was getting more schemed up touches. He was getting an uptick in snaps once Deontay Johnson went out, so I think he inherits that role a little better. Allen Robinson will be on the field more, but Austin might get more touches.
I do like the Calvin Austin call. So if you're in a really deep league and you need somebody, like, pick him up because it could work out for you this week. It's rough. Like, Allen Robinson out-targeted and took over kind of like the role from George Pickens where, like you're saying, Pickens kind of runs the go routes and doesn't do much else in the offense. So we'll see how it shakes out. I'm kind of skeptical. They all just kind of neutralize each other and no one separates, but we'll see.
And to end it here, I think we have an easy call on tight end. Pat Freiermuth may be the focal point of this offense, so I'm going to start him. Boswell, I never start Boswell. It seems like Mike Tomlin hates kicking field goals or even extra points and just goes for 2. So I'd like to sit Boswell. And the defense, if you got them, you probably can't drop them. I think it's a low-scoring game, so I think they're 14 for me. So I think Freiermuth is a must-start, Boswell's a sit, and the DST is start him if you got him. Hope for a turnover, hope for a decent game. I don't think the ceiling's there, but they shouldn't get lit up. Gentlemen,
I agree. Start Freiermuth if he plays. If he doesn't play, consider Washington as a streamer.
What's wrong with him?
He's got some type of injury. I can't remember.
His ribs, he got absolutely smacked because Kenny Pickett doesn't know how to lead a receiver the right way.
That's a hospital ball from Jimmy G right there, yeah. But yeah, so Freiermuth is interesting. He's just like, he kind of terrifies me. We thought he was going to see a boom this year, but like the way they used him in the preseason, like he was definitely 4th among those guys on target. So I am worried about Freiermuth moving forward until he gets fully healthy and recovers from this injury.
Since you mentioned it, you ever see the YouTube video of the Peyton Manning when he was a Colt, the hospital balls compilation, and you realize like Austin Collie must have like murdered his dog or something, because I think it's is it Collie?
Yeah, Austin Collie. He ended up with like 7 career concussions.
Yeah, it was something like there was like 10 hospital balls he threw, and 6 of them were to, I think it was Collie. 6 of them were to Collie, and it's just like all the comments. I've never had so much fun in a YouTube comment section just reading the jokes about what he must have done to Peyton Manning. Austin Eckler did not practice with ankle injury, but yeah, it's quite an entertaining video. So I think that's where we wrap it up. You got to have a sit start from this game for this team. I mean, the Steelers.
Starting George Pickens. I'm sitting Jalen Warren if you're one of those fanatics that thinks he's going to be the guy.
All right, so I'm going to bench Najee. I don't want to play him, and I'll play freaking Allen Robinson, and he's just going to burn the hell out of me, but I'll go with a different answer.
I am ready to be heard again.
Sit Najee, start Freiermuth, and that is how we're going to wrap it up.
Oh, man.
Thank you all for tuning into that one. That was a long one. We went a while. These the shows are running a little longer. We're a little chattier this week now that we actually have stuff to talk about, and it's not just all made up. There's actual stats.
Yep.
For Mike and Jesse, this is Aaron, and thank you for tuning in to Rat Pack Fantasy Football. This has been the NFL Week 2 AFC Home Games preview. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.